procession.
Good afternoon, colleagues. We may get seated. Today, colleagues, we have got an inaugural lecture of Professor Chinomona. Thank you very much for coming in this occasion. I am so honored today to direct this program. I am so excited, Prof, to be the director of your program. And congratulations from me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, today we are inaugurating, we are giving an honor to the professor. And that is inspiring. I'm sure most of you want to reach this stage. It's a nice stage to reach. Colleagues, today we are inaugurating a professor in the Faculty of Economic and Financial Sciences, my specialization. So today I'm special because I'm a professor of economics. But today we are honoring the professor of marketing, a person who deals with branding. It can be complicated, colleagues. Just pick up the few words that are relating to you. Hence, I'm picking just few words for me, branding. And when I'm talking about branding, I thought about you, Ms. Tukwai. I said, okay, our director for senior director for marketing, Ms. Tukwai, you're sitting there, is also specializing on branding, isn't it? So the university, Prof. Songa, is honored to have a professor who has got a topic navigating the dynamics of brand trust in our university, that is in rebranding. I see this very relevant, colleagues. Thank you very much, Prof, for giving us this.
Thank you.
Now, I'm the Director of Research and Innovation. So we talk there, we have meetings. We have chatted with my director, Professor Dr. Tapira. There she is there. I said, Dr. Tapira, the university has inaugurated many professors, including me. It was a wonderful process for me. Never forget that life. It was the best life in my life of academia. Now, I've put a challenge to Dr. Tapira. I said, all the professors that have been inaugurated in the university, they must show us, after a year of their inaugural lecture, how many publications have they produced after inaugurated. That's a challenge I've put there. Because I want to write a table that says Professor Nganywa was inaugurated in 2023. Now it is in 2024. Now it's 2025. A year has passed. How many publications that she has produced? But more than publications, how many professors has she produced? So, professors, you have got a challenge of bringing to the university other professors. We must give birth to the professorship. That made me this morning to write a WhatsApp to my first doctoral graduate, and said, how far are you to be a professor? And what are your obstacles that makes you, what is the process in that university you are working at that is making a problem for you to be a professor? Because I'm looking for that day. And he told me that, Prof, I'm very close. Then I was excited that I'm going to produce a professor, Prof, very soon. And I'm going to be a parent now in the professorship. Because I've produced another professor. So we have got that challenge, Prof, that all the inaugurated ones must produce other professors. Not wasting your time, I am going to ask our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Nolundi Songa, to come and welcome us, colleagues. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Professor Ngane. Good afternoon, colleagues. Indeed, this is a special day for those people who are in this room to witness the inaugural lecture of Professor Chinomona. This is the highest rank in academia that one can ever wish for. And I hope Professor Nganywa and the DVCs that we are going to maintain these standards, that we are not going to lower the standards when it comes to professing or giving those people recognition, because you need to profess, and it should not be a gift. It should be something that one has worked for. So let me begin by acknowledging a truth we sometimes forget in academia, that our greatest achievements are never solo journeys. You don't walk this journey on your own. There are people in front of you, behind you, around you, who walk this journey with you. And sometimes they're not just about family, but also those who are cheering you on and who are urging you to move forward. We know the sacrifices that this journey entails. And we understand how sometimes when you are pursuing this journey, you begin to forget those people around you that are important because you're always thinking about going back to write that chapter. Sometimes you have a mental block. You don't know how to proceed. And then something happens, usually when you are walking or having a shower, an idea comes, and then that mental block disappears. But it can be a lonely journey if you do not have any people to walk that journey with you. Regardless, it's a fulfilling journey. Because as Professor Nanya says, and Professor Chinomona is going to tell us about his work, that work entails a lot of sacrifice and time. So we must celebrate, we must be proud of our achievements and guard our achievements. So to our esteemed colleagues from Water Sisulu and our sister institutions, our students who remind us daily why this work matters, to our special guests who have traveled near and far, your presence elevates this day from an academic milestone to what it truly is, a celebration of how scholarship is done, especially when it is done right, and how transformative it can be. There's a particular energy that fills the room when genuine intellectual curiosity is about to take center stage. And today, we're all going to be electrified, and today we're all going to remember. And at times, we're going to look forward to our own journeys when we listen to the inaugural lecture from Professor Chinomona. Prof will be standing before, you will be standing before us, not merely as someone who has climbed the academic ladder, but as someone who has built new steps for others to follow. When I looked at your CV and the work that you have done, and the places you have traveled, and the contributions you have made intellectually, you reminded me of my passion about multidisciplinary approaches. That's something profound, in as much as specializing is important, but it is also very critical to understand that knowledge transcends boundaries. And there's a lot of work that can happen between those boundaries. Your work reminds me of something I've observed throughout my 10 years as an academic, that the most transformative research happens when we stop asking which discipline does it belong to, and start saying, what does the world need us to understand? Therefore, Prof, you have spent most of your career in that space between economics, psychology, and human behavior, proving that trust isn't just a business metric, but the invisible architecture of all human exchange. So what strikes me is how your principle, true scholarship is not a pursuit of credentials, but a lifelong covenant with knowledge. You have shaped, that covenant of knowledge has shaped your research and your entire approach to academia. And therefore, today, we really celebrate you. And we look forward to your continued contribution to academia, and research. Today, as we prepare to hear about your navigating brand trust in emerging markets, we're really hearing about something larger. How understanding human behavior is the most fundamental level that can transform economies, uplift communities, and bridge the gap between what is and what could be. To our students here, I hope you'll be inspired to understand that education is not just a doorway. And those academics who are still pursuing or on this journey, I hope you'll also be inspired and motivated. You're all welcome, and most importantly, my warmest welcome to a scholar who reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is not measured in the degrees and or papers published, but in the depth of our curiosity and the breadth of our commitment to understanding our world. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for welcoming us in that warm way, and I am so feeling like welcomed, really. Colleagues, we're gonna move to introduce in the introduction of an inaugural professor. I'm gonna ask you, Professor Feza, DVC, Research and Internalization, to introduce our professor.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Vice Chancellor, Professor Roshila Songa, our DVC, Teaching and Learning, Professor Lillington, our Executive Dean, Professor Penica, my colleague Professor, and our man of the day, the Professor Richard Chinomona. Professor Richard Chinomona is a full professor of business management and economics at Walter Sisulu University's Faculty of Economics and Financial Studies. He is a prolific scholar and a seasoned academic leader. He brings over 2 decades of university teaching, research, and administration experience, preceded by more than 10 years in senior management roles in the public sector. His academic credentials span a PhD in business management, 3 master's degrees, business administration, economics, and public administration, double honors degrees in economics and in politics and administration, and a postgraduate diploma in project planning and management. He is currently pursuing a 2nd PhD in economics, underscoring a career-long commitment to continual learning and scholarly depth. Prof. Chinomona is widely recognized for methodological expertise in quantitative research, especially structural equation modeling, working with advanced statistical suites such as Lizrel, Amos, and SmartPLS. He is an acclaimed facilitator of research methodology and academic paper writing skills, supporting postgraduate researchers and colleagues across the discipline. Across his academic career, Prof. Chinomona has served on committees that drive institutional excellence at leading universities, including National Central University, University of Fort Hare, Vaal University of Technology, the University of Witwatersrand, and Walter Sisulu University. He is also an engaged member of multiple national and international professional associations, contributing to scholarly networks and the advancement of management science. A productive and impactful researcher, he has authored 103 peer-reviewed publications and contributed 2 book chapters, with his work earning numerous national and international research awards and accolades. Beyond the academy, Prof. Chinomona is a sought-after motivational speaker whose insights bridge rigorous scholarship with real-world leadership practice, reflecting a career that spans public sector executive experience and university-based innovation in teaching and research. He is married to Professor Elizabeth Chinomona, and they are proud parents of 4 children: Dr. Rudo Cynthia Christine Chinomona, Dr. Batnai Brett Richard Chinomona, Mr. Batsirai Bravo Richard Chinomona, and Richard Jr. Nathan Chinomona. I thank you.
Thank you, Professor Feza. I think now in this family, Prof. Chinomona, there is pressure to you, Junior, and Bravo. Where are they? There is pressure because everybody here has got a PhD. You see that? Do you see that pressure? Please, you must honor your father now and your mother and make sure that you also get your PhD. And all these degrees, they are on you, mother. Prof, there is mother of Prof. Chinomona. You are blessed, ma'am. Thank you very much for coming. She comes far. I am so excited, Bonanji Prof. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. Colleagues, we are moving down the program now because now we are coming to the gist of the mist of today. Yeah, I'm English. Prof. Richard, it's your turn now. You're gonna show us what you are made up of in this stage.
Thank you,
so
Prof.
that we see. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, no, I have this one. Thank you, Prof, for the introduction. True achievement is never a triumph of one, but the unfolding of many. Each idea nurtured in inquiry, each step refined by collaboration, and each milestone sustained by trust. In this way, scholarship is not a possession, but a bridge between individual possession and collective transformation. Dear Vice Chancellor, distinguished colleagues, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you with the deep gratitude and honor to present my inaugural lecture as a full professor at Walter Sisulu University. This milestone is not merely a personal achievement, but a celebration of years of intellectual inquiry, academic collaboration, and empirical exploration within the dynamic field of brand trust, consumer behavior, and strategic marketing in emerging economies. I want to start by giving you a background and my early interest in this research direction. My academic journey is a testimony of a lifelong learning, curiosity, and deep desire to understand the intersection between economics, governance. Okay, let me start from my academic background and early interest. My academic journey is a testament of lifelong learning, curiosity, and a deep desire to understand the intersection between economics, governance, and strategic consumer behavior. It all began at the University of Zimbabwe, where I completed a Bachelor of Science honors in politics and administration, followed by a Bachelor of Science special honors in economics. These dual qualifications laid the foundational bedrock for understanding the structural dynamics of governance and economic systems, which later underpin the reason in strategic markets and branding, which I later focused on. My interest in applied policy development management led me to pursue a postgraduate diploma in project planning and management at the University of Zimbabwe, equipping me with the tools in planning, monitoring, evaluating, and socio-economic development projects. Further sharpening my administrative and economic skill set, I completed a master's in public administration at the University of Fort Hare and a master's in business administration from the Zimbabwe Open University, And around the same time, I expanded my economic perspective through a Master's of Science in Economics at the University of Zimbabwe, thereby consolidating my grounding in both theoretical and applied economics. My academic journey took a pivotal turn when I enrolled for a PhD in business management, marketing, majoring in marketing at National Central University, that is in Taiwan. During this period, I developed a keen interest in relationship marketing, power and desirable relationship outcomes. The case of Zimbabwe and distribution channels, and non-mediated channel powers and relationship quality, a case of SMEs in Zimbabwe distribution channels. All this laid a strong conceptual foundation for understanding how trust mediates the strength and longevity of inter-organizational relationship. Further contributions included distribution channels, relationship cohesion, exchange models, an SME perspective, again, a manufacturer perspective, and the role of dealer and non-mediated power in fostering SME manufacturers' cooperation. These articles interrogated the relational governance mechanism in business networks and highlighted trust as a fundamental determinant of cooperation, satisfaction, and mutual goal attainment. As I transitioned into branding scholarship, I built on this trust-oriented perspective to interrogate consumer brand relationship. My branding research took shape in publications such as The Influence of Brand Experience, Brand Satisfaction, Trust and Attachment in South Africa. That was in 2013. And the consumer's satisfaction, trust and loyalty as predictors of consumer intention to repurchase in the South African retailing industry perspective. These studies pivoted from the inter-organizational trust to interpersonal trust in consumer psychology, establishing a natural progression in my research arc. Subsequent articles including brand service qualities, satisfaction, trust, and preferences as predictors of consumer brand loyalty in the retailing industry, and does customer satisfaction lead to customer trust, loyalty, and repurchase intention in local store brands, reinforced the centrality of brand trust in loyalty formations. The evolving dynamics of digital consumer engagement led to the further examination and evidence as evidenced in the influence of e-service quality on consumer perceived value, consumer satisfaction, and loyalty in South Africa, and the influence of brand awareness, association, and product quality and on brand loyalty and repurchase intention. That was in 2017. These works collectively formed the corpus of branding literature that not only examined brand equity elements, but situated brand trust as a mediating mechanism for behavioral outcomes. My highly cited article, Brand Communication, Brand Image, and Brand Trust as Antecedents of Brand Loyalty in Gauteng province of South Africa, marked the synthesis of prior relationship marketing principles with the contemporary branding constructs, especially in the low trust, high context environment. Actually, this article won the second best award worldwide with the Emerald Publishers. This intellectual journey culminates in one of my most current contribution, the forthcoming article that I'm yet to publish, Antecedents of Brand Reliability, Brand Benevolence, and Brand Credibility, Evidence from South African Government Department Clients. This study introduces a multi-dimensional conceptualization of brand trust grounded in credibility, benevolence, and reliability, advancing the construct beyond prior unidimensional models. It represents the intersection of earlier work on a relationship trust in B2B context, which was my original focus, and to consumer-focused brand loyalty that's anchoring my research specialization firmly in the evolving scholarship of brand trust. What have I learned from all this? I learned that true scholarship is not a pursuit of credentials, like what my VC said, but a lifelong covenant with knowledge, where trust, whether in institutions, markets, or brands, become the invisible currents that binds people, ideas, and progress together. What is my area of specialization? My area of specialization has been brand trust and strategic consumer behavior. My research has consistently centered around brand trust, understanding through its components of brand liability, benevolence, and credibility, and how these dimensions influence consumer behavior in a retail environment, in a digital sector, service sector, and supply chain sectors also. My early conceptual foundation and relationship marketing. This specialization did not emerge in isolation, but is a culmination of over a decade of empirical research that initially examined relationship trust within distribution networks and gradually shifted to explore consumer brand interactions. A turning point in this transition was my article, The Influence of Brand Experience on Brand Satisfaction, Trust, and Attachment in South Africa, where trust emerged as a central mechanism mediating brand attachment and satisfaction. Trust in consumer behavior in the retailing sector, another area that was of interest to me. This was further elaborated in consumer satisfaction, trust, and loyalty as predictors of consumer intention to repurchase in South African retailing industry. An article that was published in 2013, which validated the role of trust as behavioral enabler. Similar, brand service quality, satisfaction, and trust and preference as predictors of consumer brand loyalty in retailing industry dissented how trust interacts with service quality in determining loyalty outcomes. Evolving dynamics in the digital and mobile environments that we find ourselves in today. As digital transformation accelerated my publication, The Influence of E-Service Quality on consumer perceived value, consumer satisfaction, and loyalty in South Africa, highlighted that digital trust mechanism must be integrated into e-service models to sustain consumer commitment in online spaces. These findings extend to mobile marketing context where trust again emerged as a key enabler of behavioral intention. Brand equity and trust as a mediator of purchase intention, which was another area of interest. Brand trust remained a persistent theme in does consumer satisfaction lead to consumer trust, loyalty, and repurchase intention in local store brands, and in the influence of brand awareness, brand association, and product quality and product loyalty and purchase intention, both of which affirmed that the importance of trust as a mediator between brand attributes and repurchase behaviors. Then integrated models of trust and loyalty. The article Brand Communication, Brand Image and Brand Trust as Antecedents of Brand Loyalty in Gauteng province of South Africa represented a mature convergence of earlier themes drawing upon trust on merely as an outcome on its own, but as a multi-contextual construct rooted in cognitive evaluations of brand image and brand communication clarity. Contemporary advancement and multi-dimensional conceptualization, which is what I have been focusing of late. The trajectory reaches its intellectual peak in the forthcoming 2025 article entitled Antecedents of Brand Reliability, Brand Benevolence, and Brand Credibility, evidence from South African government department clients. This study marks the formal segmentation of brand trust into 3 cognitive effective components, thereby deepening theoretical clarity and empirical measurability. The convergence and scholarly impact of my publications. The convergence of these contributions forms a coherent research narrative from the interpersonal trust within the distribution relationship or distribution channels to announced consumer-based trust models, culminating in a refined 3-dimensional construct of brand trust. These works taken collectively position brand trust not as a static variable, but as a dynamic construct that is shaped by experience, communication, satisfaction, and digital interface across various sectors. What have I learned from all this? I've learned that trust is not a destination, but a living bridge, built through reliability, strengthened by benevolence, and sustained by credibility. Just as a brand earns loyalty, not in a single transaction, but in a rhythm of consistent experiences, so too do all human relationships endure when they honor truth, compassion, and integrity. In the end, the true currents of both markets and society is not profit, it is trust. Evolution of the research area. Trust is universally acknowledged as a foundation of all meaningful relationships, whether interpersonal, institutional, or commercial. When within the marketing and business research, trust is not merely a desirable outcome, but is a prerequisite for relationship continuity, reduce the transactional cost, and loyalty. My academic journey has been driven by the premise that trust is a connective tissue in both B2B context and also in B2C environments. This foundational idea was explicitly explored in one of my earliest and influential works, The Soft Power and Desirable Relationship Outcomes, the case of Zimbabwean distribution channel, where I demonstrated that mutual trust drives collaborative synergy, partner loyalty, and channel stability. This study laid the groundwork for integrating social exchange theory into emerging market contexts, particularly by highlighting the role of non-cohesive power, that is expert and referent power, in fostering trust-based inter-firm relationship. This was further reinforced in a non-mediated channel powers and relationship quality, a case of SMEs, Zimbabwean channels of distribution, where I emphasized that the absence of cohesive control mechanism makes trust indispensable for sustaining competitive edge in a volatile market setting. Similarly, in distribution channel relationship cohesion exchange model, I empirically tested the framework that affirmed that pivotal role of trust in enabling relational cohesion and long-term channel performance. These all insights provided the springboard for transitioning from B2B domain, business to consumer domain, where I began examining how similar trust dynamics translate into consumer-based interaction. The publication, The Influence of Brand Experience on Brand Satisfaction, Trust and Attachment in South Africa, marked a critical turning point. It provided empirical evidence that trust is not just a byproduct of satisfaction, but a cognitive and effective enabler of brand attachment, particularly in emotional, resonant, and brand-consumer relationship. This transition matured into a consumer-centric research agenda, focusing on brand trust with the service marketing landscape. In the brand service quality, satisfaction, trust, and preference as predictors of consumer loyalty in the retailing sector, I demonstrated that service quality perceptions activate trust mechanism that translate into long-term loyalty behavior. This relationship was also interrogated in does consumer satisfaction lead to consumer trust, loyalty, and repurchase intention of local brands, revealing that trust mediates the path from satisfaction to behavioral loyalty. As technological innovations reshaped the consumer landscape, my research evolved to explore trust in a digital environment, the influence of e-service quality on consumer perceived value, satisfaction, and loyalty in South Africa, extended trust construct into digital service landscape. Trust in this virtual space was no longer static. It became contingent on perceived usefulness, security, and responsiveness, quality fundamentals for digital user experience. In parallel, the influence of market-related mobile activities on mobile marketing acceptance, which I published in 2013, explored the antecedents of mobile trust and showed that mobile marketing success hinges on establishing cognitive trust via ease of use, familiarity, especially in technology adoption-sensitive population. All these empirical touch points converged in my highly cited article, Brand Communication, Brand Image, and Brand Trust as Antecedents of Brand Loyalty in Gauteng province of South Africa, where I synthesized the earlier work into a robust conceptual model. The study demonstrated that brand trust is both cognitive judgment and an emotional assurance arising from positive brand communication and image perceptions. It marked a theoretical evaluation from viewing trust as a single variable to understanding it as a multi-dimensional process shaped by communication, image, and consumer sentiment. Subsequent works like the influence of brand awareness, association and product quality and loyalty and repurchase intention extended this model to demographic specific studies, particularly among the youth consumers in Africa. These findings reinforced the view that brand trust is built upon consistency, one, relevance, two, and emotional resonance, and that is, it remains a critical determinant of repurchase intention. In response to the growing ubiquity of digital platforms, I advanced this line of inquiry with studies such as the influence of perceived trustworthiness, security, risk, ease of use, and usefulness in intention to use internet banking. This publication integrated technological acceptance and brand trust perspective to highlight the interplay between digital risk, perceptions, and trust-based adoption behavior. The culmination of these conceptual and empirical milestones is captured in my forthcoming article, which is Antecedents of Brand Reliability, Benevolence, and Credibility, a case of South African government department clients. The study reframes brand trust not as a monolithic construct, but as a multi-dimensional framework composed of reliability, which is consistent in delivery, brand benevolence, which is perceived goodwill, and brand credibility, which is perceived honesty and competence. It represents both consolidation of my research trajectory and a forward-looking agenda that responds to increasing complexity and brand-consumer relationship in contemporary markets. In summary, my research has moved from macro-level distribution trust models to micro-level consumer trust mechanism, culminating in comprehensive multidimensional model of brand trust, but that is empirically grounded, theoretically robust, and contextually relevant to the emerging market of consumer experience. What have I learned from all this? Trust is the invisible architecture of all human and institutional exchange. Fragile in its making, yet indestructible in its impact. To build trust is to weave continuity into relationship, stability into markets, and meaning into society. When grounded in reliability, benevolence, and credibility, trust ceases to be a mere transaction. It becomes the connective tissue that transforms fleeting encounters into enduring legacies. Empirical and theoretical contribution. What are the empirical and theoretical contribution all my research has done over this protracted period of research journey? Empirically, my body of work has been instrumental in advancing methodological rigor in African marketing research, especially through the deployment of structural equation modeling approach and techniques. I want to indicate that when I started my research journey way back in 2010, actually my article that I published in 2010 became the first article that used the structural equation modeling, not only in South Africa, but in the whole of Africa. You can go and check on that. So across numerous studies, I have deployed and tested integrative models that combine the latent variables such as brand trust, brand satisfaction, service quality, mobile usability, and e-service quality, consumer loyalty, and repurchase intention. For example, in brand service quality, satisfaction, trust, and preference, structural equation modeling was used to demonstrate how perceived service quality directly and indirectly influence loyalty outcomes. Similarly, the model tested in the influence of e-service quality on consumer service perceived value, consumer satisfaction, and loyalty, employed the same to assess the structural relationship among digital service variables. The model used, the model used in brand communication, image, and trust as antecedents of brand loyalty was one of the first in African context to offer empirical validation of the causal chain between image building variables and behavioral loyalty through brand trust as a mediator. Therefore, my collaboration in the influence of perceived trustworthy risk, security, and the use of usefulness, and the ease of use and usefulness on the intention to use internet banking, introduced newer constructs such as perceived risk as ease of use into SAM-based models, showcasing my responsiveness to the digital evolution in the consumer behavior. Theoretically, my work reflected a multi-theoretical foundation that strengthened the explanatory and predictive power. I have primarily drawn from the theory of planned behavior, understanding intention-based behavior like loyalty and repurchase intention, as seen in my 2014 and 2017 studies. Attachment theory has been central in framing how consumers form emotional bonds with brands, particularly in the influence of brand experience on brand satisfaction, trust, and attachment. Meanwhile, brand equity theory provided the conceptual scaffold for linking the brand awareness, perceived quality, association to loyalty via trust as applied in the influence of brand awareness, association, and product quality on brand loyalty, Chinomona 2017. These theoretical synthesis enabled robust model building tailored to emerging market dynamics, context often marked by low institutional trust, limited digital infrastructure, and high socio-economic inequality. By bridging psychology, branding, and behavioral economics, my models contributed to a deeper, more contextual relevant understanding of consumer behavior and brand trust in sub-Sahara Africa. What have I learned from this? I have also learned that knowledge finds its true power not in isolated theory, but in the harmony between empirical rigor and lived context. To measure is to give shape to the unseen, but to theorize is to give it meaning. When the two converge, bridging trust, loyalty, and human behavior, they illuminate a path where research does not merely describe the world, but transforms it. Societal relevance and impact. What has been the impact of all this research, right? Have they generated value for society? Okay. The societal relevance and the practical utility of my research extend far beyond academic circles. My studies have provided actionable insights for business, government institutions, and educational organizations striving to cultivate trust, loyalty, and value in environments marked by competitive pressures and socio-economic constraints. One of the most visible applications of my work has been in the sphere of higher education. There is a study I did on the influence of institutional branding on students' perceptions of university reputation in South Africa. This offered a robust model for understanding how brand equity principles traditionally applied to commercial brands could be harnessed to enhance institutional reputation and student engagement in public universities. This research was subsequently used also to inform rebranding strategies and student engagement and campaigns in some universities that I was invited to give a workshop. In the retail SME sector, my work on brand loyalty, service quality, and trust have been central in training programs and strategic workshops aimed at equipping entrepreneurs and business owners with evidence-based branding strategy. I have run a number of workshops for small and medium enterprises where I have been actually sensitizing on them on how they can brand their products, small as they are, and how they can grow to be big tomorrow. So, where am I? Okay, so studies like brand service quality, satisfaction, trust, and preference as predictors of consumer brand loyalty in the retailing industry, and consumer satisfaction, trust, loyalty as predictors of consumer intention and repurchase intention have been translated into toolkits for small and medium development and consumer relationship management. Additionally, my expertise in trust and brand relationship dynamics has been instrumental in organizational transformation. For example, in workshops organized by ESCOM and National School of Governance, I provided strategic training modules that applied my branding frameworks to public sector in service delivery. These sessions emphasized the role of trust building and brand transparency and service empathy in restoring public confidence in state-owned enterprises and governmental service units. I have also conducted capacity building seminar and curriculum support for academic institutions such as the University of South Africa, where I was also invited to participate, Free State University, Vaal University of Technology, University of Witwatersrand, among many other institutions. My research has influenced curriculum reform, particularly within the business-related schools. The pedagogic tools derived from my empirical models, especially those utilizing SEM, have enhanced postgraduate teaching and thesis supervision practice, equipping future scholars with rigorous Africa-related methodologies. In sum, the societal impact of my research is multifaceted. It informs the branding strategy in both public and private sector, supports the entrepreneurship, enriches academic curriculum, and strengthens the institutional trust mechanism throughout ongoing engagement with stakeholders across the industry, government, and education. I remain committed to ensuring that my work continue to be socially responsive, empirically grounded, and strategically transformative. What have I learned from all this? I have learned that knowledge finds its highest purpose not in applause of academia, but in its power to transform lives, restore trust, and build bridges between aspirations and reality. Research becomes wisdom when it moves from theory to service, when it strengthens institutions, when it empowers vulnerable, and when it sows seeds of trust where doubt once ruled. Future research agenda. Where do I aspire to get to with this line of research? As the digital economy expands, new technology reshape the global consumer landscape. The next frontier of my research lies at the intersection of brand trust and artificial intelligence. Whether we like it or not, artificial intelligence has come to stay with us. Actually, I'm almost about to finish a book which tries to show how research can be done using AI and developing prompts that makes it easier for even those who want to do a postgraduate study to do it not in 1 year, but maybe in a matter of months using it. So those are things that have come to stay with us, and we have to find how we coexist with the reality of today. And also big data analytics. The rapid integration of AI-driven interfaces in consumer service, such as chatbots, recommendation engines, and automated service environments, has introduced new layers of complexity in how trust is built, sustained, and challenged in human-machine interactions. My future research will explore the behavioral threshold at which AI either strengthens or undermines brand trust, particularly in environments where personalization and speed and perceived empathy are increasingly mediated by algorithm. Digital natives, the consumer born into and shaped by the internet age of today, are now the dominant market segment. Their trust expectations are not only shaped by past experience, but by data transparency, interactivity, and instant gratification. Studying trust dynamics across virtual platforms, social commerce ecosystem, and AI-assisted service will be critical for advancing brand theory in the fourth industrial revolution. I aim to model how trust cues such as privacy assurance, digital authenticity, and algorithm fairness influence consumer commitment across platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp Business, and a blockchain-based marketplace. A long-term strategic goal is the creation of a Pan-African brand trust index. This diagnostic tool would allow governments, non-profits, and private firms to systematically measure, monitor, and compare consumer trust in public and corporate brands across African markets. The index will be empirically anchored in my validated multi-dimensional brand trust framework comprising of reliability, benevolence, and credibility, and will provide strategic insights for brand development, policy innovation, and stakeholder accountability. In parallel, I intend to embed behavioral economics coming from both disciplines, economics, politics, and business. Economics more deeply into my models. This will involve integrating how socioeconomic variables such as inequality, digital exclusion, consumer rights, literacy, and economic uncertainty shape the formation of trust. For example, how does a consumer in an underbanked rural area, such as maybe Mutata, build trust in a digital financial brand compared to a tech-savvy urban millennium? By contextualizing trust within these economic disparities, my work will contribute to both economic theory and social justice. Ultimately, the future of my research will be characterized by methodological innovation, digital integration, and a commitment to making Africa brand trust theory globally competitive and locally transformative. What have I learned? In an age where trust is increasingly mediated by algorithm, the essence of human connection lies not in the speed of data, but in the fairness, empathy, and authenticity we embed within it. For as technology reshapes the marketplace of trust, it is moral architecture we design, rooted in reliability, benevolence, and credibility, that will determine whether the digital future unites us or divides us. In conclusion, my academic journey has been shaped by a confluence of passion, persistence, and enduring sense of purpose. From the early days of exploring relational trust in B2B contexts, distribution channels, to the current multi-dimensional conceptualization of brand trust within digital and public sector contexts, I have sought to create scholarship that is not only methodologically sound, but practically meaningful. Throughout this journey, I have remained anchored in the principle that research must ultimately save society, whether through developing empirical validated models to improve service delivery, empowering small and medium enterprises through branding strategy, guiding higher education marketing reform, or advancing policy discussion on trust, digital equity. My work has consistently aimed to bridge the gap between the theory and application. As I look forward into the future, I remain steadfast in the commitment to monitoring and developing the next generation of African scholars. I believe that knowledge must be shared, nurtured, and evolve through collaboration, critical thinking, and contextual relevance. By continuing to build frameworks that address African realities while contributing to the global discourse, I aspire to ensure that African scholarship is both respected internationally and impactful locally. To everyone who has been part of this journey, colleagues, students, collaborators, institutions, and mentors, today my corresponding author happened to be my former boss. We have come a long way at Vow University, where we started doing serious academic writing. Thank you, Prof, for coming. I appreciate you. Your encouragement fuels my academic vision, propels my contribution to the board of knowledge that is rooted in excellence, relevance, and transformation. By and large, true scholarship is not measured by the theories we construct, but by the bridges we build between knowledge and humanity. Research that does not save society becomes an echo in the void. But knowledge shared, nurtured, and contextualized becomes a legacy that will outlive the scholar. On that note, I want to thank you all for coming and attending my inaugural lecture. But perhaps before I call it a day, allow me to thank my mother, who has traveled all the way from Zimbabwe to come and grace this occasion. And I remember when I wanted to be a motor mechanic, he said, no, You need to keep on reading and reading. And if I had not given heed to her advice, I would not be standing here today delivering this inaugural lecture. Thank you, Mama. I also want to thank my wife who is with me here. You know, there is a story that I always told my wife when I was doing my master's in economics. I had a lecturer of macroeconomics who was a doctor, and he had a wife in the same department who was a doctor. So I told her when I got home and said, hey, one day when I become a doctor, I want you also to be a doctor. Then my wife said, that will never happen. I've done my best and I'm not going to proceed. But after some persuasions here and there, my wife never let me down. Today, he's not only a doctor, but a full professor in her own right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Right. I also want to thank my children who are with me here, Cynthia, Brett, Bravo, and Nathan. You see, my children once said, hey, Daddy, how can we know that we have made it in life? And I said, okay, there is a simple barometer to measure whether you've made it or not in life. Ask yourself, have I surpassed what my father and father have done on earth? If you excel beyond them, right? I told them that, hey, my mother was a farmer and my father was a male cook at a training academy. And I've surpassed that. Today I'm a professor. So one day you have to surpass that. But I want to say, then my daughter said, hey, Daddy, you are talking about 7 degrees. You think I'm going to get there? But I want to thank her. She didn't let me down. Already she's a doctor and she has 5 degrees to her credit. Thank you for that. And the others are following suit. Others have 4. The other one is now working on his 2 second degree, and the other one is working on his 1st degree. I want to thank my family for being a source of inspiration, and I'm proud of you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fortunately, you clapped hands your own way.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
So my way is coming now.
Thank you.
Because I've been watching all of you clapping hands without me saying, can we clap hands? So I was granting you that opportunity. But now, the man of the match has spoken. So I've got that way of mine. You follow me, I will teach you now. You say, clouds are forming, rain is coming, thunderstorm. Okay, that was teaching. Let's do it, Kengogne. Let's go. Clouds are forming, rain is coming, thunderstorm. Thank you. That was a special way to clap for you, Prof, in your special day. And now I'm gonna call Professor Bowe David to come and as a respondent, academic respondent. I want to explain why there is an academic respondent. You see, if you are a professor in your specialization, for instance, the one that Prof. Chinomona is, and you heard that he was talking about structural equation modeling. That one will be known more by economists. So it will be difficult because there we are talking statistical analysis, the regressions, you name them. So we want someone to interpret that complex lecture into simple and relevant to us now. Hence, there is a respondent. So the respondent is not repeating the speech, is making the speech to make sense to us. So that everybody who is listening can understand what this lecture is. Prof, you have done very well to be simple and explain. But the respondent is going to tell us the relevance now of why this lecture is very important. So I am going to give to you, Prof. Poet, to come and be an academic respondent. Over to you, Prof.
Dear Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellors, Executive Dean, and the Executive Director, Research and Innovation, who is also the Program Director, distinguished guests, colleagues, students, and all those that are near and dear to Professor Chinomona. It's both an honor and a privilege for me to respond to this inspiring inaugural address that we have just heard. I always say a professorial inaugural address is both a reflection and an inflection point. It really offers an opportunity for a scholar to reassert their scholarly work, if they want to also recalibrate their scholarly work as they move forward. It's a very important ceremonial activity that has been in place for a number of years since professors have been inaugurated. So what a pleasure to have listened to Professor Richard Chinomona's thesis and arguments. Remember, there's a song that goes that now that you have found love, what are you going to do with it? So we might ask, now that you found your full professorship, Professor Chinomona, what are you going to do with it? And he touched on those very important aspects, and I'm glad that he actually not just alluded to them, but he mentioned that true scholarship is just beyond theory, frameworks, and so on, but it's really about societal impact. So indeed, Professor Chinomona is a scholar whose academic journey and intellectual contributions exemplify what a true academic is. One who is really, or whose work is rooted in excellence, relevance, and transformation. Professor Chinomona's lecture this afternoon offered us more than a chronology of scholarly milestones. I found that it was a powerful reflection on a journey devoted to inquiry, one that bridges theory and practice, local realities and global discourses, and most profoundly, the human dimensions of trust in markets, institutions, and relationships. In tracing his journey from the University of Zimbabwe to institutions across Africa and Asia, Professor Chinomona reminded us that knowledge is an ongoing pilgrimage. His progression from examining interorganizational trust in distribution networks to exploring multidimensional brand trust in consumer contexts represents not only intellectual growth, but also a commitment to contextualizing global theories within African realities. Through a prolific body of research, Professor Chinomona has contributed to the discipline and discourse of marketing with frameworks that speak directly to the African experience. His conceptualization of brand trust as a triad of reliability, benevolence, and credibility advances marketing theory in significant ways, while also offering practical insights for business, government, and interestingly, higher education institutions seeking to build legitimacy and loyalty in environments where trust is often fragile. His argument that scholarship must transcend the confines of academia is noteworthy. As we have heard, his work has informed institutional branding strategies, enhanced entrepreneurship training, and influenced public sector transformation initiatives. In this way, Professor Chinomona embodies the scholar-practitioner ideal, which means a thinker who not only produces knowledge, but also applies it for societal good or impact. I found some of his sentiments quite insightful. In fact, where he really described for us what true scholarship is. And incidentally, the Vice-Chancellor also referred to one of those nuggets, where he said true scholarship is not a pursuit of credentials, but a lifelong covenant with knowledge, where trust, whether in institution, markets, or brands, becomes the invisible currency that binds people, ideas, and progress together. He also said, while talking about true scholarship, that it's not a possession, but it's a bridge between individual passion and collective transformation. What stands out most profoundly from his address is the philosophical underpinnings of his research, the conviction that trust is the invisible architecture of human and institutional exchange. In a world increasingly mediated by technology, his future research agenda, which is exploring trust at the intersection of artificial intelligence, digital behavior, and ethics, challenges us today to reimagine the moral architecture of the digital economy. To this end, he reminded us of the following: that to build trust is to weave continuity into relationships, stability into markets, and meaning into society. When grounded in reliability, benevolence, and credibility, trust ceases to be a mere transaction, but becomes the connective tissue that transforms fleeting encounters into enduring legacies. He also said that in the end, true currency of both markets and society is not profit, but trust. And then finally, he mentioned that research becomes wisdom when it moves from theory to service. Remember that? When it strengthens institutions, empowers the vulnerable, and sows seeds of trust where doubt once ruled. Professor Chinomona's words reminds us that universities are not only centers of learning, but they are also crucibles of trust, where credibility, benevolence, and reliability must be lived values. His commitment to mentoring emerging scholars further ensures that this legacy of intellectual integrity and social relevance will endure through the next generation of African academics. Professor Chinomona is to be commended for his forward-looking research agenda, which seeks to interrogate trust in the age of artificial intelligence and digital transformation. This vision situates his work at the forefront of contemporary inquiry, where technology, ethics, and human behavior intersect. It affirms that African scholarship can not only contribute to global debates, but indeed shape them. On behalf of colleagues at Walter Sisulu University and the broader academic community, I extend our warmest congratulations to you, Professor Richard Chinomona, on this well-deserved recognition. Your scholarship, leadership, and humility inspire us all to pursue excellence with integrity, and to assure that our work continues to serve humanity. May your journey ahead continue to illuminate the path where knowledge, trust, and transformation meet. Congratulations, Professor Richard.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. Poe. You know, colleagues, when you have come, Prof, for a celebration, we are celebrating here. So now the moment of celebration has come, whereby I am going to ask my Vice Chancellor, Professor Songa, to come and give a trophy gift to Professor Chinomona. So Professor Chinomona, you are going to stand up and Prof is going to come. I think for the sake of everything, cameras, you are going to do this thing here. And when you are doing this thing here, I have asked my DJ to have a song. Yes, there must be a song for this celebration so that my professors can see this. You see, we are those professors who celebrate. Come on, DJ. Chini. DJ, we are ngoku. She's not like me. Malaka yambi na maka brand le way yam na ndia branda. Ndia branda le professor yam. So I think good DJ, but which song? That's all. Woo! Come on, Prof. Hey, it's a good job.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Open it. Okay.
You cannot give a hit and it must be so. Yes, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much.
That was a moment. I can see also the mother was very happy and wanted to stand up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof, for that gift. Colleagues, I'm going to call the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Economic and Financial Sciences, Professor Manoj Penika, to deliver a congratulatory message. Over to you, Prof.
Program Director, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Songa, DVC Research and Internationalization, Prof. Feza, DVC Teaching and Learning, Prof. Lennington, the academic respondent, Professor David Poi, family of Professor Chinomona, distinguished guests, colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon marks a moment of profound academic pride for the Faculty of Economic and Financial Science and for Walter Sisulu University as we celebrate the inaugural lecture of Professor Richard Chinomona, a scholar whose journey is a masterclass in intellectual depth, consistency, and continental relevance. Professor Chinomona's academic trajectory, from politics and economics through business leadership and into advanced quantitative marketing research, reflects not merely academic achievement, but disciplined purpose. His scholarship in brand trust and consumer behavior in emerging markets has not only shaped literature, it has actively shaped practice, policy, and institutional reputation across Africa. What stands out in his work is its African grounding and global sophistication. At a time when trust in markets, institutions, digital platforms is a volatile currency, Professor Chinomona's research offers frameworks that restore confidence, enable ethical business, and speak to both the village entrepreneur and the multinational boardroom. Beyond publication volumes and awards, impressive as they are, he has been a builder of young scholars with over 100 postgraduate students successfully graduated, builder of institutional quality, influencing curriculum, research ethics, and postgraduate excellence across universities, builder of societal impact, translating academic theory into workshops for ESCOM, public sector institutions, and entrepreneurs. Colleagues, this inaugural lecture is not merely a recognition of past achievement. It is a public affirmation of Professor Chinomona's thought leadership in a future-facing field where AI, digital trust, behavioral economics, and African market intelligence will define competitive advantage. Professor Chinomona, on behalf of the faculty, I convey our deepest congratulations. We are honored not only by your scholarship, but by your example of humility, productivity, and service. May this inaugural not be a destination, but a launching platform for the Pan-African Brand Trust Index you envision, for continental mentorship legacies, and for a new generation of researchers whom you will inspire to dream with rigor and act with purpose. Walter Sisulu University is proud of you. We celebrate you, we stand with you. Congratulations once again, Professor Chinomona. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Manoj. Colleagues, I am going to call now my professor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Teaching and Learning, Prof. Maggie Linnington, to come and thank us, because I've been thanking, but Prof, you have got this role now to thank, and you are also going to thank me, I know. Thank you, Prof, for coming and thank us. Okay, over to you, Prof. We are all going to be thanked.
Program Director, Vice Chancellor, Professor Chinomona. All protocol observed, because I think I'm going to acknowledge everyone somewhere along the line here. I want to start off by thanking the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Prof. Sonkra, for her warm welcome and for reminding us that multi-interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research is so impactful, and that we should step out of our comfort zones and explore it. As an agriculturalist, I can only say agriculture has been doing that for years, and it's so nice to see the rest of the academic world following agriculture. But I think law also works along those lines. And thank us for reminding that and the impact it has. And thank you for your leadership and for bringing us to this lecture. I'd then like to thank the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Internationalisation, Professor, for your leadership in research and the support you have been giving research and introducing our new professor so well. So thank you. I'd then like to thank Professor Panaka as the Executive Dean, but I also want to thank you for sharing the impact that this research has had in Africa, in the universities where he's worked, in the department where he currently works, in society and on the consumer, and thank you for that. I think we've been very privileged today. I then would like to go to the man of the day, Professor Chinomona. Thank you for your really interesting inaugural lecture, and thank you for getting to this point. And sharing not only your story, but your future with us. I thought it was quite telling that the components of trust are probably the components of what makes a good professor. And I'm going to go through them. Consistency, reliability, honesty and integrity, accountability, vulnerability and openness, and respect. And I think you've lived your research topic. So thank you for that. I also want to thank you for your future research field, which is brand trust with artificial intelligence. And I think with fake news around AI phone calls and all sorts of other stuff, so AI videos, it's going to be a very interesting area, and I really do hope you help us build trust with artificial intelligence. I'm one of those that hit the red button when I get a scam AI phone call. So it's going to be very interesting. And so thank you very much for your inaugural lecture, and I wish you the best. To your family, especially to your mother, congratulations, and thank you for being here. And Prof. Elizabeth, it's nice to see you again, and thank you and your whole family for being here. And for supporting Professor Richard Chinomona so well during his time. To Professor Poe, thank you for your response. I think in your response, you helped us see the impact he has on thought and modeling and processes, and what a fundamental researcher he has always been, and how he's going to grow into it in that future. And thank you for that response. It was very clear, and as a respondent should. So thank you, and thank you for being here and traveling. Professor Nkanwa, you get thanked now. Thank you for challenging us to grow new professors. But thank you for just being such a wonderful program director, making us feel really part of the process and including us and engaging us. But thank you for that challenge, and I hope we all take it up to grow future professors. I've got an order here, so I'm just following it. Then to the executive management and other VIPs outside from other universities, to the executive management here, especially Dr. Chembe and Dr. Mabunda, as well as the faculty that's here and from other faculties. Thank you. He couldn't deliver a lecture unless there was an audience, so I'm so glad we have an audience here today, and especially for those outside the faculty, we really appreciate your presence. Then finally, Ma'am Tukwaya and your team, you do a lot, as well as your team, who's done a lot as well. To both teams who've done a lot, the photographer, the videographer, the invitations, everything. It takes time and it takes work. Events don't just happen. So thank you, as always, for your professionalism of both your teams as well as yourselves. It's really and truly appreciated. As I sit down, this is not the end, but it's the beginning. It's the beginning of a celebration, and it's the beginning of a new journey of your professorship, and best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Linington, for thanking us. It's your turn now, because you are always supporting us at research. I am very grateful about that, Prof. And I haven't seen any inaugural lecture you were not there ever since you joined the university. Thank you, Prof, for that. Can we clap hands for Prof Linington, please? Thank you. Now, colleagues, we have come to the end of the phase 1 of this occasion. And after we have left the room, the procession, we are going to get to phase 2, where we will wear no gowns. There will be no gowns there in phase 2, just outside. So the procession is going to go, and the Vice Chancellor is going to lead the procession out, and then I am going to be the last one in the procession, followed by my colleagues. Then after we have left the room, then we are going to join, all of us, we are welcome in the second phase of this celebration. There is something to celebrate about. You see, you saw how Prof was dancing there. I like that dance. Prof, I think I should put a challenge, because most people know how I dance. Challenge accepted. Let's come the research day. I want to see you dancing there. Yeah. So, colleagues, thank you very much. Prof has thanked you. So we are going to have our song, Prof, and then you're going to lead us. We're going to leave. Before that one, we're going to sing, because it's, yes, the national anthem. Then after the national anthem, our song will go, we go out. Can we sing? Can we stand and sing? Nkosi sikeleli Afrika malupakanyiswa izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusakholwayo murena kuruka sichaba sa Yesu umfedise victory
With the